And we are live. Welcome to our episode of Business Focus Live with me, John, where we talk about business related topics as well as news from here and around the world. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. And we're back. So, thank you for joining me again today. So, we have a lot of things to cover. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, for our first topic of the day, for those who are been following or watching the previous live stream, we've been heavily talking about the situation with regards to TikTok. TikTok has been in the news for many reasons, not so good reasons, but if you've been following, it all started when TikTok was banned from India with regards to security issues from citizens. So the government, in its interest to protect its citizens, so it has banned TikTok as well as other Chinese app in their region. Now, soon after that, other nations like United States is considering whether to ban TikTok, as well as personal opinions or preferences of Donald Trump, which in this case they have a ongoing feud, not just a trade war, but with everything else that's happening around the world. The companies like TikTok and Huawei are bearing the brunt of the feud. So with regards to that situation, so what's happening now? So a lot of things have happened since last time we discussed TikTok. So right now, Microsoft is in talks with TikTok to purchase said company so that TikTok can avert being banned totally in the United States. Now, obviously, there are many things to consider, whether how are they going to purchase TikTok? Is this to the benefit of both parties? With regards to Microsoft, which is known for being a software side with regards to Microsoft Office, to gaming with Xbox console and so forth, and also social platforms such as LinkedIn. Now, how this goes is, there's a lot to see and wait and see actually. So let's take a look in the article here. So as mentioned, Microsoft is reportedly, in talks right now, but as you can see later on, a lot of things has happened or has changed necessarily with regards to the situation. So if you can take a closer look, as mentioned, so with Donald Trump's, reported plans to ask China's parent company ByteDance to divest itself from the company TikTok in the U.S. region. Now, rumors have surfaced with regards Microsoft is planning to buy a stake, which you'll find out later on. It goes beyond just buying a portion. Okay. Now, some investors think this may be a viable solution, so to speak, so that TikTok can still continue operating apart from its parent company. Now, is that will it be enough to appease the temperamental U.S. President Donald Trump? We have to wait and see. But I think TikTok is finding ways to make sure that its services continue and help support not just, if you heard in previous discussions, that TikTok is already trying to encourage many of the influencers in said platform by providing a substantial fund, almost 2 billion worth, to entice the many followers and influencers who's using the platform. So obviously, apart from the Indian market, TikTok is popular in many regions in the United States, Europe, even in Asian region as well. So question is, what will happen here? Now, obviously, the plan here is for TikTok to, not TikTok, but ByteDance to divest its ownership. Okay, with regard to the U.S. operation, not necessarily the entire company, but that remains to be seen because with Trump here, is it just a ploy to threaten the survival of TikTok so that they will be forced to sell its entire operations to a US based company like Microsoft. Now, obviously, TikTok has garnered, a substantial following and has more than 2 billion, a little over 2 billion downloads worldwide. So that's a significant number, right? A lot of people are using their software or platform. And its current value is around 30 to 50 billion. So whether or if and when Microsoft do plan to buy the company, it's going to be a substantial amount. So it would be incumbent upon Microsoft to do its due diligence in terms of its worth, what can it do, should they pursue it, and so forth. Now, obviously, ByteDance, with regards to its situation, is not not agreeing necessarily, especially if you're the Chinese government. With regards to the situation here, it's somewhat of a political agenda, making sure that U.S. interests are protected. But on the other hand, if you're Byte, that's what happens to their company. Now they've already invested a lot in said platform, while other companies are trying to replicate the success that they have having. Okay. Now, despite all of this, rumors of not just rumors, but talks of Microsoft planning to buy said company, uh, which later on we found out in a later article where Microsoft's discussion with TikTok was put on hold. With the simple fact of the matter, it's all because of the U.S. President Donald Trump, because of his apprehension of being dead set of closing down TikTok in the United States region due to, as mentioned earlier, security reasons and for other reasons with dealings with the Chinese government. So whether Trump do decide to shut down TikTok in the United States, so the deal between Microsoft and TikTok is on hold as of the moment. But anything things could change at the very moment. Actually, there have been plans for Chinese investors to divest its what do you call this? Divest its ownership so that the U.S. deal can push through, so that TikTok can proceed and continue operating in the United States. Now, whether that's enough to appease the White House is a totally different matter. That's why Microsoft is waiting to see if and when Donald Trump would go on with his threat to permanently shut down TikTok, or wait and see if he do change his mind. Now, obviously, he was asked regarding the situation. So Trump's threat to ban TikTok may be a negotiating tactic of sorts, whether to leverage the position of U.S. companies such as Microsoft to be able to, what do you call this, be able to supplant or replace Biden as the parent company and so forth. So we have to wait and see how this turns out. That could be good for US companies, but bad if you're the Chinese government, because obviously they're using the situation to their advantage. And as mentioned here, the administration has very seriously, was very serious regarding national security concerns over TikTok. So they are using this situation as to reevaluate, and not just TikTok but as well as other Chinese companies that have foothills in the United States. So what happens to TikTok and other companies such as Huawei, you have to pay a closer look, not just now but in the very near future. And despite that, according to the U.S., Trump is, pursuing or trying to purge untrusted apps that he calls, that is based from the from China, which is controlled by the Chinese government. But obviously, companies from the other region is stating that that's not the case. But with regards to his situation, what can businesses do for the meantime? Should they be just lay down and fold and start all over again, or is there something that companies can do? I think what TikTok is doing is a viable option in terms of surviving in a sense, so that they can enable them to continue their operation even though they don't have majority control or total control anymore of the said company. And if we take a look here, so according to Trump, they're going to act on Chinese software companies in the succeeding days. Now, as mentioned, the threat of Trump banning such companies as TikTok and other companies is, it's a wait and see whether he will push through with it or not. So everyone is waiting here. Now, whether that's beneficial to other companies, like in this case, there's true privacy issues for the American people for a very long time in the United States. So what they want here is to purge, as mentioned, purge the company so that privacy issues, data privacy breaches will be prevented. Now, what does this mean for the companies? Obviously, this is detrimental to their operations and survival, and obviously, this will bring opportunities for other competing companies to step in and take over as the leading in their respective platforms. And not only that, according to the latest article, the discussion from TikTok and Microsoft has been temporarily put on hold. So, as you can see here, the acquisition has been put on hold with regards to the situation that the Trump administration has been not has been threatened had threatened to ban the apps for several weeks. Now, whether he pushed through, as I mentioned earlier, as mentioned here, he mentioned that he will sign the document in the very next day, but so that other companies like Microsoft could step in and provide jobs for many people in the United States. Now, whether if there's anything that they could do, we have to wait and see. Now, obviously, with regards to the U.S. stepping up their campaign to purge Chinese app, whether that's considered fair or not, you know, obviously, if you're on the U.S. side, it's beneficial to your interest, so that companies like Facebook, well, recently launched a competing app which is called Reels. So it's similar to what TikTok is doing, but they're trying to say that it's totally different from what they're offering. So it looks like TikTok, it talks like TikTok, it must be TikTok. But what's interesting here is they're trying to say that it's differentiating from said platform. Whether it would succeed, it would depend still as to what will be the what will be the outcome with regards to what do you call this? What will happen to the situation with Trump and the deal with Microsoft and TikTok. Continuing, so as mentioned, so Reels is pushing or has opened, have launched their app to compete with TikTok, even though there's no clear distinction already whether TikTok will be banned and what do you call this? Will be banned, as well as a great opportunity for companies like Reels to take over as the preferred social media platform. Now, obviously, they're trying to say that they're dissimilar or not the same as TikTok, but as you can see in their platform, they're trying to replicate how TikTok works here. But in terms of success, we have to wait and see if that would translate into actual success. Now, continuing with our discussion. So a little bit more of technology here. So something of interest that I was able to see here. So for those who are not familiar, uh, uh, the, the product is called Hachi Infinite M1. So it's a portable smart touchscreen projector. It's similar to like a projector screen, but in this case, instead of just projecting a picture, you are able to use the interface like a regular desktop computer or laptop, which is kind of interesting. So let me show you here. Oh yeah, so you can see here. So it's an interactive contact. So redefining how customers work together in terms of its screen regardless of the situation. Actually, if you can see here, it's like a projector of sorts, but it goes beyond of just presenting videos or pictures. And actually, the said company or the product was won the innovation award for the late from the latest CES 2020. And actually, you can see here in an unboxing from reconnected. Are we recording? Let me see. Let's see. Are we recording now? Let's take a look. Okay, so we're back. Sorry for the technical difficulty. The battery ran out from my laptop, so there was a it was shut down for a few minutes here. So now we're back. So as you can see here, we have Lou Later here. Sorry, Louis from Lou Later and from Unbox Therapy showcasing the latest product of Hachi. So it's a very small product, not that not much bigger than a typical. Uh, Actually, it looks like more a what do you call this? A speaker rather than a computer. So let's take a look here. So as you can see here, it's very interactive. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah. So you can see here he's playing a piano, an actual piano, and it's very touch intuitive. So it's not just for show, but it does actually work. So I was interested to showcase this one. So not only that, so let me show you another key features that it had. Uh, so let me skip to this part. Okay. Now, obviously, one of the main features for Hachi is geared towards for people who are food lovers, so to speak, people who are always involved in the kitchen, so that when you're looking for a recipe to cook food for yourself or for your family, it's easier to use rather than you use a laptop or a tablet where it's kind of messy. In this case, you can just simulate it by touching the table or wall and be able to do it. So it's very tactile. So it's very intuitive. As you can see, it's very smooth. So it's not just for food. As you can see here, uh, gaming application here is very interesting. Now, obviously, it's not as convenient, but as you can see here, you can watch movies here. You can also play games, and you can see here. So let's try to skip a bit. So it's very nice. So if you take a look here, so you can play. So let's look at the different game. Okay, yeah, let me skip. What's the next? Yeah, here. So you can see he's playing PUBG here. So it's really like a desktop, but it's touch screen. Now, obviously, it's not convenient and comfortable, but there are many applications that people could take advantage in the future. So not only that, so let me skip to this part. So it's not just for food lovers, for gaming, but for educational purposes, especially nowadays, many people or even students, kids are stuck at home studying. So this could be a learning tool of sorts. So you can see here, so it's very intuitive. So he's going to try and spell the word, I think it's corn. Yeah. So he tested if it could read if you put a wrong letter. Okay, so you can see here. So it can recognize if you put the wrong letter there. So it's very interesting, actually. In terms of pricing, I think it's going to be expensive. It's not cheap. Okay, so let's go to another segment. Yeah, actually, this one is more what it's meant intended used to be. So let's say, let me go back. So you didn't see this part. So you place a fruit on the table, it can recognize immediately what the product is or the fruit is, and then you can create a variety of not ingredients, recipes based on the product. So which is kind of helpful in a sense. So it's very convenient, it's very intuitive, and a lot of people could benefit from this one. Okay. So not only that, so let's take a look here. So let's get to the next part. So okay. So if you notice here, the application here is not just for what do you call this? For entertainment, but for also for recreation. So if you want to exercise, this can be helpful in so many ways, and I think a lot of people could benefit tremendously from you know from this device. Now, obviously, the pricing would be a main issue here. So whether you want to buy this product, you can check out his full video, and I'll put in the link description below if you want to see the full what do you call this? Oops. For the full for the full description of the video. So go check out his channel and what do you call this? You can check out his channel later on. Okay. So there's the okay. So continuing. So next is it's just I saw this video early today. It's kind of interesting. So especially for those who likes games, Sony has just presented the latest state of play, introducing many games. So even though PlayStation is going to introduce the latest iteration of their PlayStation 5 later this holiday season, uh, current console owners from PS4 should not worry because many games are still being produced and going to be produced in the next within this year and the following year. So I want to highlight some of the key games that's going to be released in the very near future, and some are very interesting. Some are popular games that are going to be released. So let's take a look here. Okay. There you go. So as you can see here, so let's start off with the first game here. Where is it? Yeah, let's skip it a bit. So the first game here, as you can see here, is Crash Bandicoot. So its latest iteration. So it mentions here, as mentioned, for those who are familiar with the Crash series, it started way back in the PS2, way back, and they've already made a remake version for this current console, and now they've made a new version of their platforming game. And as you can see here, it's very interesting. Actually, they're going to introduce several new features so that gamers would still feel it's the same with the previous iteration, but with a new twist. So for those who are familiar with this game, it's not only Crash that you'll be playing here, you'll be able to play other characters as well. So it's not just him. I think you can also play, I forgot the name of the character also. Let's take a look here. Uh, yeah, as you can see here, they're showing you actual gameplay here, which is very interesting. Actually, what I was saying earlier. So not just you'll be able to play Crash here, but also other characters as you can see here, and also Neo Cortex. So they would provide different feel and experience. So it's not just Crash all the way. So let's take a look here. So you can see here they're presenting different skins to make it more entertaining from your gameplay experience. So not only that, so let's take a look at the next part. Okay. So not only that, so you can see here, so Cortex here is now playable, which is kind of interesting. So it's the first time you'll be able to play the character as mentioned. So let's take a look here. Now, not only that, so here's an interesting gameplay that they're introducing. So it's the same stage but with a different twist. So you can see here the replayability of each stage would be interesting and fun to play throughout. So there'll be a lot of value from playing said games. So which I'm sure many are looking forward to play this game. So let's go to the next game here. Actually, this is one of my favorite games. Where is it? Here. Yeah. So for those who are familiar, 101 games. So if you notice here, this is a very popular game. It's Agent 47. So it's Hitman. So it's introducing you in a different manner. So take a closer look. And voila, you can see here it's now in first person mode. So you can play Agent 47 as in VR mode. So it's very exciting if you have a PlayStation VR. So you can see here, let's skip a bit. But here's the best part. So you can see here, with his favorite assassin weapon. And there's Hitman 3. Now, obviously, there are many more games that were presented here, and I do recommend you check it out. So they're focused primarily on independent games, and actually they showcase one game that used the structure of the latest console, which is PS5. So while let me skip to that part. Where is it? Here you go. Oops. Okay. So the game that I was mentioning is called Godfall. So it's sort of an action RPG type of game. So it uses the PS5 engine already here. Actually, yeah, there you go. It's Godfall. Now they're going to show you here a actual gameplays. Uh, so you can see them play the actual game here. So obviously it's footage from the dev kit of PS5 now. Obviously, it's not the final product, but you can see remarkable improvement in terms of graphics now. In terms of gameplay, in my opinion, it's still a work in progress, and you know, it looks like similar to how Dark Soul works, or any other RPG games or action adventure type of adventure game. So whether it would be successful, you know it's up to the devs and for the players to play for themselves, but it looks promising here. Now, one thing to note here, now obviously there are many more games that they presented here that I will not discuss further, but you can check it out. As I mentioned, I'll put the link in the description below so you can watch the entire presentation there. Some games are independent games, such as I think Spelunky is another, uh, Braid is another game. So interesting games that they remade and updated for the current console generation. Okay, uh, so next, speaking of local news, so we were talking about last time the situation of many businesses locally, and for those who have been, what do you call this, have been watching what has happened with our current situation. Uh, if you've seen the latest update based on the State of the Nation address from our president, we're now under lockdown again under the MECQ, or the Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, because of the number of rising cases, which the health committee has been pleading to do something about, because if we reach a certain point or tipping point, there's no coming back, and we cannot stress too much the healthcare system, because if the healthcare workers are depleted. There's no more replenishment that's going to come anytime soon. So with regards to the ECQ, or MECQ, sorry. So let's take a closer look. So as mentioned, so the quarantine is going to be held starting earlier this week for about 2 weeks. Okay. So locations that will be affected are Manila, Metro Manila, Laguna, Cavite, Rizal, and Bulacan will be under modified enhanced community. So question is it too late? As you can see here, they were thinking earlier that continuing with the general community quarantine, that we're doing well, that it's the trend is changing and so forth, but that's not the case here. As you can clearly see, I think we've already breached the 100,000 mark, and it's increasing still. So is it a little bit too late, or is there something that the government or we can do to alleviate this problem? Otherwise, it can be detrimental, not just to individuals' lives, but to businesses in general, which we don't want that to happen. Okay, so the healthcare community has been saying that it's a losing battle. Obviously, protocols are already in place. Is it enough, or do they need to make more, or do we need to do more so we can stop this outbreak and not put the health system on the brink of collapse, mentioned in the article here. Now, it mentions here, according to Mr. Duque, that they propose new measures to aid the medical workers. Now, obviously, hiring additional workers is easier said than that. Who would be encouraged to